Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about a real-life application and trying to find using a bit like bases and exponents. So let's get right to it. I love when I start a video out with stuttering. It's quite all right, though. Welcome to real life. Now, here we're trying to predict the average number of people per square mile in 2030, 10 years from the time this video is being made. And the projected population is 5 times 5.9 to the 8th. And the land area is 5.9 to the 6th. So what we got to figure out is the average number of people per square mile. So if you think back, this is going to be a unit measure or a unit ratio that it takes into account these two items. So eventually we basically got to get a unit measure, which means a denominator of 1. So let's see how we set this up, because an average means you're going to take the total population, 5 times 5.9 to the 8th. That's from this guy right here. This is projected, I guess, projected total population. It doesn't say the word total, but it is the projected population. And we're trying to find per square mile, so that's per is our fraction bar. Square mile is 5.9 to the 6th. All right, and right here is square mile. So these two are exactly the same. Miles squared is also pronounced as square mile. All right, so this is what we got to solve. We got to get this denominator to be 1. Well, we got to figure out how to do that. Well, if we follow quite a few of our rules, first off, I know that if I'm multiplying two items in the numerator, it's the same as taking and breaking off and creating two separate fractions. And this might be a little bit easier to look at because I can move this guy anywhere. The reason I say that is if I'm dividing, if I take 1 times 5.9 to the 6th, I just get 5.9 to the 6th. So if you think about this in reverse of what we're used to doing, we're used to saying 5.9 to the 6th times 1 equals 5.9 to the 6th, but it's also true when we say 5.9 to the 6th is equal to 1 times 5.9 to the 6th. And when we're multiplying fractions, we do multiply straight across. So this is the same as over 1 times 5.9 to the 6th, which is the same thing as all of that. Actually, a better first step visual might look like this. I can break it apart that way. I wanted to make sure I was being absolutely clear on what I was meaning, that these two, the 1 times 5.9 to the 6th is the same thing as 5.9 to the 6th. I didn't change anything yet in the numerator. So if I do this, this means the same thing as 5 over 1, because technically I have two fractions times, broken apart, 5.9 to the 8th and 5.9 to the 6th. Now, due to the fact that the order of multiplication doesn't matter, I got to choose whether this 1 stayed with the 5 or the 5.9 to the 6 went with the 5. And hopefully you notice why I chose to keep these two together, because they're the same base. That's going to help us. So this is going to be equal to 5, because 5 over 1 is 5 times, if it's the same base, we just write the base, and then since we're dividing, we take and subtract the exponents. When we do that, it's going to be the same thing as 5 times 5.9 squared. And hopefully you're going to see here why it can be confusing using a dot for multiplication. So you usually want to make it a bit bigger so it's obvious that it's multiplication and not a decimal. Now here, if we take 5.9 squared, let me get out my calculator and let me show you. 5.9 times 5.9, it's going to equal 34.81, and we're going to be multiplying 5 by that. And then when we do that, we get that 5 times 34.81 is 174.05. And there's our answer. So we expect 174.05 people per square mile. Now, the fun thing is, we don't really expect a 500th of a person. So we want to use our rounding rules and our logical thinking to say, well, there's no such thing as 500ths of a person. You're either a full person or you're not. Even if you're missing a limb, you're still a person. So we can't say, oh, it's his pinky. We're not doing that. It's just a pinky. So this is 100. So we expect 174 people per square mile. Now, if you have any questions, make sure you ask them in class, work on problems at home, or be ready to do it in class. Now go ahead and pause the video and copy what is on your screen into your notebook. Now that you're back, anytime you have to rewatch the video for clarity or to remember something, you need to write what you picked up into your notes. Use arrows, circles, shapes, pictures, or whatever else you need to, but add to your notes to make them yours. Last, ladies and gentlemen, you are in school. When we are learning, it's about understanding the process, not about finding an answer. We'll see you tomorrow.